my exuberance, she just not shouting. Sir, I think, and you know the line is there. May I have the honor of inviting Pastor Funmi to talk about Jesus City. A round of applause, please.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Pastor. Thank you very much for being patient today. Because if you came early, you know you have invested time here tonight. But I hope that by the end of the session tonight, by the time you leave, you'd have acquired significant information. And when you think about the additional information that has been that the organizer has committed to send to us, I am sure that you have enough information to make some informed decisions about what you've come here for. I am all right. So he introduced me as Pastor Funmi. This is Shofeku, and I'm standing here to represent Apostle T.B. Williams, who is the General Overseer of CFT Churches. Anyone knows CFT Church here? Anyone knows CFT Churches here? Okay. He is the General Overseer of Christ Faith Tabernacle International Churches, but he's also the visionary of Jesus City. And Jesus City is a city to be built in Nigeria. We've acquired 436 acres of land on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway at Ogiri in particular, and it steps into Ogiri town from the express road. The reason I've put this on the screen, I was standing in front of it, is that Apostle sent me this schematic drawing to talk through here today. But just a little bit about Apostle Williams, because it's important to understand why he would have a vision to build a city in Nigeria, and also to understand what his vision is for the type of city that it needs to be. He's been here in the UK for the last, is it 40 years or thereabouts? He trained as, he qualified as a chartered land surveyor. He, so many things. At some point, he went up to do bricklaying so that he could encourage people who actually had skills, vocational skills, but didn't see themselves as critical to an economy. And for many of us who are in the UK, we understand that one of the issues here is that vocational skills are dying, because everyone is focusing on their kids going to university. And the older generation who've got those skills, which are the skills that we use to build a nation, are actually disappearing. But when you think about the Nigerian environment, and it aligns with what Mr. Oba was saying at the outset about the training, the investment in training and developing artisans, and developing them so that they can work to high standards, you actually can see where the alignment is coming with Apostle. And I think the first time that he met with Apostle Williams, they had significant discussions along these lines, but I'll come back to that. So Apostle went off to go and study bricklaying, practical bricklaying, and at some point he decided, and that encouraged lots of people to go off and do bricklaying, plumbing, be electricians, and the things that these days, or in the past, people felt shy about being because people focused on university education. And I'm sure you heard on the news recently that there was, what's the gentleman who has the plumbing, that large plumbing organization? The fact of the matter is that people they're never out of work. Yeah. So lots of people who are thinking about a career change as they get to an older age are beginning to look at those skills. But if you're building a nation of Nigeria, as an example, then you need to have those skills in place. Beyond that, he went off to do media studies, by the way, and then he went off to do law, and, because he wants to make sure he can fight the cause of his people here and abroad. But just going back to Jesus City, my interest in particular is because I have done a lot of work in terms of policy, housing policy, regeneration in the UK, and actually influencing with government, but also in terms of strategy within significant organizations. And within Jesus City, we do have housing projects, which is what is relevant to you here today. What I'm going to do very quickly is in terms of Jesus City, because this is a whole city that is a self-contained city. And the aspects that we have within Jesus City don't just address housing. If you're building a community, you need to have the facilities that are required in place. So within Jesus City, we have educational, a vision for educational facilities, starting from pre-primary school education, and for some of them, they may be free. We'll have private schools that actually subsidize the free schools, because there are lots of people who can't afford to pay for education. But if you have a specialist private school, those who actually want that will pay for it and will subsidize the free schools. We have secondary schools. We have in phase 3, I think it is, a tertiary institution. But vocational studies is a critical part of the strategy behind Jesus City. And actually, for some of you who will be here and are aware, Apostle is currently in Nigeria. And last night he said to me, when he arrived, he went to Jesus City. We had a hydroform. It's a hydroform brick machine.
It was there.
You can tell I'm not a technical, but I know it's a hydroform machine that we've had for a couple of years. And we're currently at the stage where we're building the infrastructure around Jesus City. There's some parts that we're doing some fencing around. And he said that the team from Mr. Oba's organization actually came to Jesus City, showed them how to use the equipment. A lot of locals in the Ugiri area, showed them how to use the equipment, trained them, and then they are going over to, I think, your facilities for a couple of days for further training. The reason why I've digressed and talked about that is that what we're looking at is ensuring that all the infrastructure that we need to put up the whole of Jesus City is available on site in a cost-effective manner. But going on to other facilities there, I said that because I was talking about vocational training, and there is a focus there, but there can be a lot more provided on that. We've got medical projects in there, and we're working to collaborate with the specialist hospital in the States, in the US, I was going to say, in the States, so that we have a specialist hospital, but we can actually subsidize, cross-subsidize a general hospital in Ugiri town, where people don't die needlessly because they can't afford to pay fees before they get to see a doctor. Within the facilities, we've got leisure facilities. You can see a hotel in there. We've got a conference center, and we do have a church. But to my left, you have the housing developments. And within the housing developments, we have high density and low density accommodation. So we've got detached houses, we've got semi-detached houses, and we've got terraced houses. Today I'm not talking about how you can start acquiring a piece of land. By the way, did I say we had planning permission for the whole land already? Did I mention that? If I didn't, we have. And someone like Mr. Oba, who asks 1,001 questions, obviously has asked the questions, looked at the documentation. He lives in Nigeria, so he understands that. But for anyone who's looking to acquire property in Jesus City, and it is going to be open to the general public, but of course, some people who are closer will probably have access very quickly. You will have good title for your property. I won't go into too many details at this point in time, because we want to make sure that the basic infrastructure is in place before you start looking at developing your own house. And nobody's going to go and live somewhere where there's no light or where the roads are not complete. So we're actually at this session today just creating some awareness about the fact that with Jesus City on the Lagos-Ibadan Express Road at Ugiri, we will have access to developing homes, which Mr. Oba's organization has also partnered with us to deliver if there is a requirement for that. And the reason why I'm talking about it here is because there is also the facility that's being made available through Nigerian banks, or the Nigerian bank in question. I'm sure that we're all looking forward to having some more detailed answers to the issue around banking, which is what we're all keen on. If you can control what it is that's being developed for you out there with assurance that you're not losing money, then we all want that as a win-win solution. So here today, all I'm going to say is that if you're interested, it would be 6 months to 9 months before we start looking at taking orders. We'll be providing much more detail at that point in time. But if you want to be on a list where you would like some information when we get to that point, then all you need to do is send an email to jesuscity@cfdchurches.org, and we will be in touch with you and provide information. I hope that's helpful. I'm going to stop there. I'm happy to take whatever, maybe 2 or 3 questions.
Okay.
Do bear with me, I'm not the technical woman. Go on.
No, because the development belongs to the church. You have to be a full member of the church. Or
You don't. Yep, that's why I said it's full.
Okay, the property you're trying to develop, is it just for the land, or you can just buy the land and develop it yourself?
Well, so the question the gentleman asked is that, can you just buy the land and develop it yourself? You will be able to develop yourself, but there will be standard specifications for particular areas within the scheme. What we don't want is an area that's got all sorts of a full mix of different types of properties, and there's no clear structure. So that's what we're looking for. Does that help?
Yes.
Thank you very much, everyone. For your time.
If I may add this, nobody